Hey guys, I'm Sophie Shalacy with ET, and we are here with the guys of OK Go. As you saw on our Facebook page this morning, they just released an awesome new music video. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before. So maybe we can roll some of that, and we're going to talk about how you guys did this, because it boggles my mind right now.
It was a lot of mind-boggling.
Yes.
It was a very mathy video, this one.
So I guess the first question is, how did you do it? Give me some of the technicalities here and how this all worked.
It is, well, the whole thing was shot in 4.2 seconds. Actually, I shouldn't say the whole thing. The first three quarters of it were shot in 4.2 seconds. So the scene that's showing right now, this, as the camera flies through there, it's a little less than 1/10 of a second. So, you know, this video that unfolds over the course of 4 minutes actually happened in just a few seconds.
Yeah, what you just saw went like zzz.
Yeah.
There's so we have this robotic, this camera on a robotic arm that's just flying around the room, and we carefully choreograph these things to happen as it flies by. And of course, choreography at this level is math. Like when you said you've never seen anything like this before, that's because you can't see anything like this. This is at a subhuman scale. It's happened way faster than humans can see, which is what made it so fun to shoot, but also so sort of frustrating because you can't there's no improvisation. It all has to be done with math.
And it was important to have certain things on beat, like synchronized to the song.
Well, the thing with any of the videos we make, they're always fairly technical and fairly elaborate, but what we're trying to do is get the feeling out of it. So like what Tim's saying about it being on beat is like what we're going for is emotion, and in this video in particular, like we all of our videos have had this, or we're always going for this sense of sort of wonder and joy or surprise, but this time we wanted it to be more contemplative and more sort of reflective. Like the song itself is a very emotional song, a very heartfelt song about those moments in life when everything changes. And we didn't want this to feel just sort of giddy joy. We wanted it to have that sense of gravity that life does when those changes are happening. And we had no idea it would be coming out at a time when the world has just gone through one of those moments where it's like everything's going along and then suddenly everything changes, and personally, I don't. This was not a change I wanted to see happen. So, it's tough, but it also sort of, to me, it feels like we're in this moment where everybody has to inspect exactly how important every moment in life is, because things change.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to actually go back to what you were saying before about how it was shot in 4.2 seconds. We actually have that clip so people can see how it actually went down. Can we roll that? That in one take. You didn't get a second try, or did you do it a couple times?
No, well, we did each part of it. We had to, getting it right took a lot of trial and error and planning. So the final thing is just like that's what you get. Yeah. You get what you get. But it was months of basically a giant spreadsheet.
Sure, that's what I wanted to ask too. Is how long does it take to get this ready, and how nervous are you?
It took about 6 weeks of pre-planning, and how nervous are we? Like we've done a lot of very elaborate things, and they always come down to the wire. There's always this sense of like ridiculous anxiety, but it also feels kind of like what we're used to at this point.
Yeah. I mean, the nerves this time around came from knowing that like we really kind of get basically one shot at each of these things, and so like and it was very hard to kind of control, like you're like, I want to try to look a certain way when this happens, but like there's no controlling that because there's things blowing up and it goes like that, so you're just like, and then, like, that's what you
Are
get.
You hypercritical of watching your face when you're
I was curious to see what my face would actually look like, and it definitely looks like
I love watching Tim's face at the beginning of this because he everyone who I've showed it to is like, "Oh, Tim looks so happy," and Tim's been my best friend for 30 years. I'm like, Tim looks terrified. He does not look happy. He looks like, "I'm trying to look happy," which I think it's like, but that is the what's great about things happening this fast is there's nothing you can do. It's just real. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
like if a wall of salt canisters behind you explodes, you're gonna flinch. There's nothing you can do. And I love watching Tim's like.
And that's
So
part
funny.
of the heart of it all.
Yeah,
think,
I think
it's
so,
just
too.
getting those like very real moments.
For sure.
Those salt canisters, by the way, are Morton Salt canisters, and they allowed for this whole thing to happen. They had this amazing campaign. They call it Walk Her Walk, and this whole thing started because they wanted. Basically, this is a pretty incredible thing for a corporation to do. They decided to put their resources behind people who are making the world a better place. Which, just think of how crazy that is. What I just said, that like a corporation is trying to put them. Anyways, when they came to us, they were like, "Your song, the one moment, it really sort of captures the spirit of this initiative of theirs, where they're funding young people who have used their lives to make the world a better place. And some of that is getting clean water to areas of the world that don't have it. Some of that is resettling refugee girls. Some of that is education about food and arts education. But they have this campaign around them. They wanted a song sort of at the center of it, and they were like, what would you do with our salt to sort of make this the art at the center of that stuff? And it's been really, really fun.
I wanted to actually ask you about the song. You were saying before, obviously you didn't know this was going to come out while everything was going on that's going on in the world right now. Tell me about writing the song, recording it, kind of everything that went into that.
Well, with our songs in general, they usually start from like the search for alchemy. Like you can't like the math that we took to make this video. You can't wind up at a song at the end of that. Like when at least for us, when we're writing, it's basically like take this sound and that sound and stick them together. And most of the time, you just get a third sound. But every once in a while, you stumble upon like a big ball of emotion. Like you put this sound and that sound together, and you get melancholy and joy and a little bit of fury and some lust. Like there's this crazy, insane ball of emotion. So then, once you've heard that and you start trying to hone that down into a song, like we've got this thing, how do you make a song? You sort of have to figure out, what is it this is reflecting in me? Like, why do I feel that strongly about this set of sounds, and what does it turn over in me? And Tim had written the first kind of basic outline of the song, and then we spent a long time trying to figure out what it meant, like, because it had this feeling, this like kind of soul-searching feeling. And so we turned it into the song about the fundamental idea being like, it is both the saddest thing and the most beautiful thing to know that everything is temporary. Like there's nothing you can do except try to experience your short time on Earth the best way you can, and so it's sort of this like prayer for more meaningful moments in our lives, and that felt very personal when we wrote it.
Yeah,
now
definitely.
It feels very global,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And from there, then, how does the creative process switch over to the music video? Because you guys are known for epic music videos just across the board. So at what point does the creative brain switch over to that side of things?
I guess once the record is done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people ask us all the time if we ever like think about the video while we're writing the song. And honestly, I wish I could say we did. Like, I wish our brains had that capacity. But writing a song, a good song, a great song, hopefully, is
It's tough enough.
that's threading a very small needle. Like the best songs in the world all are like one of 10 chord progressions, and so are all the worst songs in the world. Like, there is no pattern for it. There's no like solving the problem other than like sort of stumbling through this dark area in the back of your mind where you hope to find magic. And if we were doing that and also being like, what will Tim's face look like while the salt wall is exploding behind him, we would never get to
Never get
song.
anything done.
Yeah. It's too much to think about.
Yeah, so you focus on a great song, and then once there's a great song, you focus on what comes next. And I think for a lot of bands, videos, but the shows, the sort of everything else that surrounds it, they kind of see that. A lot of people traditionally have seen that as like marketing or sort of crass advertising, all the stuff you have to do to sell it. For us, those are more creative opportunities. And from the time we started, playing together as kids, at age 11, which is 30 years ago, we've always sort of like chased our creative ideas whatever direction they go. And 20 years ago when the band started, that kind of meant like, well, we have to decide: are we going to be musicians? Are we going to be filmmakers? Are we going to write plays? Are we going to like? These were all different careers then. Now that everybody makes stuff that goes through the exact same giant channel. I mean, here we are making TV on the internet.
Yeah.
What channel is this on? Oh, this is on the internet. Like it is such a different world, and all of our creativity kind of can get funneled through the same giant hose. So why distinguish between music and video? Like why not just kind of like chase the ideas as they come up?
Sure, and there's so many different channels, I think, to explore anything related to that creativity. My phone is buzzing, which I know means we're getting fan questions, so thank you guys. Keep them coming. Before we get to those, I have to talk to you guys about the guitars. It hurt me a little bit to watch that.
I was surprised at how much it hurt me to watch. When we actually got the shot, I was like, oh no. But the thing is, those guitars are all... they're all manufacturing defects.
Okay.
Like Fender gave them to us kindly, and they are... we asked them if they had guitars that couldn't be sold, and they were like, these are all ones that had a problem with them and they couldn't sell them. So don't worry, no playable guitars were harmed in the making of this video.
Thank goodness. Okay, let's get to some questions here. Well, there are comments actually. Okay, so Donna says, I'd hate to have to clean up that mess though.
True. Yeah. True.
Murray says it looks like a video game, which is kind of cool.
Video game.
Have you ever thought of that before?
Cool.
No. I guess video games do often have
levels
like,
in it,
well, and there's slow. Like I feel like they can do fancy slow-mo in video games because it's much easier to like rotate a camera at those speeds when it's all done by a computer.
Yeah. Okay, here's a question from Kristen. You've had so many amazing videos. Which one has been your favorite to shoot, and which one was the hardest?
Man, it's definitely like asking to pick your favorite child.
Really?
Yeah, or your hardest child.
Most difficult child.
The challenges are all very different. The last two, this one and the one in Zero Gravity that we released 6 or 8 months ago, were both extremely technical. This one was the most math we have ever done for a single video, and that is both very rewarding and very difficult. I mean, as I'm sure a lot of your viewers know, math can feel great when you get it right, and it can also just feel like, oh, what am I going to get through this? And I personally was the one who built the spreadsheet for this thing, so like I was the director for this, and so I was kind of responsible for like understanding this massive spreadsheet and making it, and that was sometimes more officey than I wanted. But it also is...
So did you do all of that math, or did you have people helping you?
I did. I mean, I did all the math, but
You're smart!
Well, thank you very much. I did, however, but let me just, so it's very clear, okay. I can do the math and then go to the rest of the crew and say, we need these water balloons to pop 4 milliseconds apart. I can't make them pop 4 milliseconds apart. The machine that actually can send signals that accurately was built by a man named Arnie, who said the last time he was asked to do something with this level of specificity, he was working on a nuclear power project. Like, so it's a very different. I did the basic math. Some other people did much more complicated math than I did.
It sounds all complicated to me. That's why I do this job. I don't do math. So Chanel wants to know.
Chanel?
Chanel, yes.
Oh, okay, Chanel.
Chanel.
I thought the brand was calling me.
It could be.
Yeah.
What's the craziest video idea you've ever had? Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I think this one's pretty crazy.
This is pretty crazy.
Have you had any crazy ideas that you have not been able to execute yet?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of. It's hard to answer that question because that sort of supposes that like we're sitting here and we just have these individual ideas, when basically what we look at is like reality and what's possible is all around us. And then sort of at the farthest reaches there is like impossible. Mm-hmm. And most of the stuff that's impossible is clearly impossible. Like, wanting to sculpt the moon into a bust of Tim, not going to happen.
Turns out it's really hard.
Really hard. However, there are closer versions of impossible, like the last video we did where we were in zero gravity the whole time. That seemed impossible, and it's very close to impossible, but it's sort of like going right up to the edge of where possible is, and sort of just like tipping your finger into the other side for just 3 minutes.
Yeah, that video, Upside Down and Inside Out, felt like we had stretched reality just a tiny bit.
And in general, it's not like we have ideas that we then go like, oh, it's impossible. We're basically always sort of like running up to the edge and being like, is there something we can pull over from that side? And so it's more about like figuring out which, like stumbling upon areas where it's like, wait, I just saw something in the impossible that might briefly be possible. And then we go for it, you know?
Going back to the music side of things, I have a question here from Kelly who says, who would you love to collaborate with?
Who would we love to collaborate with?
Man. Musically? Yeah.
Or I guess visually, why not?
Diplo.
Diplo is cool.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I
Mark
like that.
Ronson's cool.
Mark Ronson.
Yeah.
I mean, we've always been huge Pixies fans, and we did one time get to play as the Pixies. Frank Black, the singer for the Pixies, did a benefit show, and he had us be the Pixies for several of the songs, and that was pretty huge. But it was also, there were still Pixies songs. So it wasn't quite, the collaboration was more sort of like we were just kind of paying homage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That can be fun though.
Yeah, it sure can.
Super cool.
Now, my first real memory of you guys is the treadmill video. Of course, I think that's iconic, and so many people remember it. I can't believe...
10 years old now. It's the 10th anniversary.
That's what I was going to say. I cannot believe that was 10 years ago.
It's in the 5th grade.
What do you guys remember most about that project?
I remember
it all very clearly, actually.
Yeah,
it was very hot.
Very hot and humid because we were in Orlando.
We were in Orlando. This was all shot at my sister's house. My sister was a professional ballroom dancer at the time, but we didn't. None of us were filmmakers. Like nobody was. Like my sister is now a very accomplished film director, and I've been directing stuff myself, and we've all sort of like stumbled into this world. And back then it was we got this crazy idea, like, let's get together with my sister and go to her house where she she had a ballroom, and she had this crazy idea, and we were gonna like play, and our label didn't know about it, our management didn't know about it. It was just sort of like, let's like screw around and make something. And that spirit really has to underlie everything we do. Like, no matter how much planning it takes or how much sort of business has to be, like, business architecture has to exist just to pay for the damn thing. If there isn't a sense of just playing, like, if we can't get to that part of it where you find the joy or the wonder of sort of like the surprise and the kind of discovery, then there's just really we will never get anything good if we're not doing that ourselves.
So you guys went rogue on that. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like we went rogue now because it was so wildly successful, but at the time it was like, it was a little bit like Facebook Live is now. It was just sort of like, you know what? We have an opportunity to connect with our fans. Turn on the camera. Let's see what happens. I mean, it was it's slightly more planning than that, obviously. But it was 10 days. We spent 2 weeks with my sister, and we had one accidental viral hit, which was us dancing in my backyard, and this was our attempt to top that. We were just like, look, if we can have an accidental viral hit, we should try to make something on purpose. But the even notion of viral hits didn't really exist then. Like, we were one of the first things to sort of like garner that title, and one of the first things on YouTube to really like go nuts like that. So when we made it, we didn't expect very many people would see it. We were like, this is a gift to our closest fans. We had put something online that had reached hundreds of thousands of people, which was huge to us at the time. And we were like, look, those people all supported us. Let's make another thing for them. But we had no idea it was going to do what it did. And it did not, it wasn't going rogue in the sense that we were like, we're going to make a music video and get around everybody. We were just like, let's make another thing like that.
And it was fun. It was like, it was just like the four of us and Damian's sister Trish, and I remember laughing a lot I remember being really nervous about making the transition between wearing tennis shoes to having to wear Cuban heels on treadmills.
Tim was wearing Cuban heels all the time. Then, which it's so funny that we even know the term Cuban heels.
I know. It's just because I liked those shoes.
Yeah, they were really good shoes.
Yeah.
It's just, and it did get a lot harder to dance on treadmills when you were in dress shoes.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah. Everything got a lot more slippery.
For sure, and I think everybody wants to dance on a treadmill like that. I think there have probably been a lot of people that have failed trying to recreate that one.
Well,
right?
we can tell you what happens when you fail. It's painful. Like the process of choreography for that was hurl yourself at the treadmill, see what happens.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, you injure yourself. The 10th time, some amazing thing happens where you're like, whoa! I kind of threw myself at it, like with my right side, turned it, and then I spun around and landed we just kept on sort of discovering these things, and by the end of the week, you've got like, all right, we've got 30 cool things we can do. Let's put them all in an order. There's your routine.
Not to mention you've got 4 guys trying to do the same thing and all not fall.
Yeah.
Which
True.
ups the stakes a lot, right?
sure
4
does.
guys with different skill sets.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and none of which include dancing on treadmills. So,
Now you do.
yeah.
You learn something new every day.
We
I
are the
guess.
world's foremost treadmill dancers at this point.
There you go. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank
If you
you.
haven't seen the video for the one moment, check it out. It's on our Facebook page. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Great to
Thanks
have
for having
you.
us.
Thanks for watching.